What's going on, guys? Josh Peter for FTS MMA, and today I'm joined by the Gold Coast Golden Boy himself, a good friend of mine, Mahoney, who returns to action next Friday, November 11th at Infliction 31 here on the Gold Coast at Talabudra Leisure Centre, looking to improve his record to a handy 13-0 after what has been a pretty frustrating year, which we will get to. First thing I want to get to is a quick little shout out to today's sponsor, Blackboard Varsity Lakes. They're obviously a big supporter of Benny's and good friends of mine as well. So if you are on the Gold Coast, please come and check them out. Dan and Nicole are very nice people and will always look after you. So good food, good coffee and great service. So please support them because they support us. So now on to the good stuff. Benny, obviously frustrating year. Probably the most frustrating year I could imagine for you. Massive opportunities that have come through that have fallen out, which we'll get to as well. How, for the people that don't know maybe on our channel, your sort of story and the year you've had, can you give me a little bit of an insight into the frustration that you've had to deal with this year?
Yeah, so pretty much I've had, I wanted to have an active year. I wanted to stay as busy as I could. Ideally, I'd have 3 or 4 fights. Obviously, I can't go into too much detail on specific situations. Don't want to really throw myself or anyone else under the bus, but I've been in a few kind of chokeholds this year with contracts, not being able to fight on certain promotions or certain people, and that went on for a fair while. And then until that got rectified, then from there the same thing kind of continued, and it's all kind of been cleared up over the last month or two. So, you know, a good portion of this year I physically haven't been able to even get moving again, and it's something that I can't explain to fighters. It's something I can't explain to public, friends. About the only people I can speak to is my family in privacy, so without getting myself in trouble, if that makes sense. So, you know, I fought earlier this year when we spoke last time on Wildfighter. I took a fight on 7 days' notice, went up a weight division. And look, we were supposed to fight recently. There was George Kambosos versus Mahoney, the first fight. We were supposed to get on that. We're speaking to the promoter of that, legendary guy, and he was vouching for me. That was another hard situation. We had a middleman that was organising for us, organising it all for us, and he kind of went MIA as the contracts were supposed to be sent over. Apparently my opposition got his, we never got ours. We never had anything to do with it. We were just kind of like contacting them going, you know, what's happening? Like, we're training, and that fizzled out. And again, that was completely not on us. We were training, we were ready for the date. And then, you know, with the big matchroom card that just happened in Australia, Eddie came, we were in talks, and, you know, all respect to everyone that's tried to get me a fight. It's massive. But, you know, they offered me a few fights at middleweight because I have jumped up before, which is fair, but, you know, I'm not a middleweight. I'm a super welterweight. You know, whether they want to offer me fights at middle, welter, super middle, it doesn't matter. I want to start to stick at my weight, you know what I mean? There's a certain point where you go, all right, I've got to, you know, stick to my guns and
hold your ground,
do what's best for me, you know. So, and they were the only kind of promotions that I could have gone up, but I had to jump up a division or do this or do that. So it's been a little bit tricky navigating the waters. But we had this fight, an Infliction. Nick and Josh got me this, which I was chuffed. I was super stoked because I've been sitting on the sidelines. I've been training all year round. We just did an America trip for a month. We've been training so hard. So just to have something, a target, it's epic. And now that all that other stuff has cleared up now, all systems go.
Talk to me a little bit about Infliction 31, because it's kind of came out of nowhere. It was recently announced. I mean, maybe a month ago, say. You sort of, not even a month ago you announced it. How did that all come about, and what is the outcome you're going to see next Friday?
So it all came up about just because of the whole kind of predicament we were in, and we're like, we just need to get a fight. And Josh was like, how about we fight on an Infliction, just a local one, we can match you, we're not going to get in any dramas doing it. And this year, I think it got announced just over 3 weeks ago, and I just said to him, honestly, I don't care who we fight, good, bad, pretty, ugly, just get me a match, give me a contract, I'll show up. I just need a fight before this year's out. Even if I can squeeze one in on short notice after this, I will, providing the body allows it. And so Josh, they just went and did their business, and he goes, we've got you a fight. And I was like, beautiful, who is it? And I didn't find out for about a week or two until, you know, they got the name and stuff. So, again, I'm just chuffed to get in there. And, yeah, we announced it, probably 2 or 3 weeks ago. And the fight, I've looked at his record. The last few he hasn't won. You know, he's been fighting bigger and better opponents, and he hasn't had a good run. He's getting a bit older as well. But in his past record, out of the 28 wins out of 38 fights, and out of the 28 wins, he's had 22 knockouts. So, people can say what they want to say, but I'm training very hard for this. I'm taking it as I would any other fight at any other level. I'm predicting just a win. That's what we go out to do. We go out to get, whether it's a knockout, whether it's a points. I'm just going to secure a win and keep moving forward with this.
Obviously, we spoke a little bit when we came in about the time in the US, and big opportunity to go over there and train, considering all the people that are over there and the experience that you can get. I know you sort of spoke about the training methods they have and that sort of stuff. How was the overall experience for you, and sort of getting to spar and compete with guys who are at that elite level and getting there the same way you are? How was that overall experience heading over there?
As far as the States goes, man, it's crazy. Like, it's a whole other world. It's much of the same, but just much more intense. The training was awesome, extremely hard. All the pad work sessions, the bag sessions, the sparring, the running, it's all very intense, which is what you need, I suppose, to become a champion. But yeah, I was sparring with guys that were top 15 in the world. I was sparring with guys that have had bigger and better records. I was sparring with guys that were having 1-0. That are brilliant boxers, and some of them touched me up, and their record, I was like, oh, I'll kill this guy. And then they come in, and you're like, oh my God. There's so many people over there. There's so many people in the divisions, from welter to super middle, the guys that you can spar. It's crazy. And I didn't feel out of place. There was only one or two spars that I was like, this guy's legit in comparison, But yeah, I had a great experience. We got looked after really well. We met a lot of people. We had some great connections, and I'm excited to get back over there and make my US debut.
Now, obviously, the US debut is what you'd like, I'd imagine, after this one next Friday. So, is there an ideal time frame of when you'd like to get back in there? Obviously, early next year. I did see you online talking about maybe early next year. Is that the plan, early next year to get over?
Yeah, 100%. Like, everything changes. You know what it's like. As far as fight sports, injuries, promotions, opportunities, everything could just go and change at the click of a fingers. But the ideal goal would be to get back over there late January. Yep. You know what I mean? Get through Christmas, train all the way through, save some coin up, just be a bit of a hermit and get over there maybe late January, fight late February, early March, and then come back here and then kind of rinse and repeat. And again, you got to just adjust and game plan back to the drawing board after every single fight you have. To see what your options are, see where you're at, see what is kind of happening. But yeah, if I can get early year, that would be ideal.
Awesome. Something I've been wanting to sort of touch base on with you, obviously it happened after the last time we spoke in April, was the scenario with Danilo Creati in George Kambosos, and because for one, I'm a fan of yours and a friend. You know what I mean. So to see you get that spot on a big stage was awesome. You know what I mean. So, looking back on that now, was there anything that could have been done differently, do you think, to maybe alter that outcome, or was it something that was more out of your hands?
To be honest, and people can say what they want to say, but it was completely out of my hands. So obviously I'm not going to say names or situations, but again, we had someone that was looking after us for that fight, and they were pretty much a middleman. They were going back to the promoters or the matchmakers, they were going back to their team, they'd come back to them, they'd come back to us, so on and so forth. We had rounds, we had purses, we had everything bar a contract said, yep, sweet. I'm not too sure even if it went up on BoxRec or not, but I think it did. It was all go ahead, and so I was training, and then we were trying to touch base with our people, and we kind of just got ghosted for like 3-4 weeks out, and we're like, hey, like, what's going on? Like, yo, what's the update? I kept training, and then the rounds went from 8 to 6, and I was like, all right, I guess we'll just go with that, cool. And then it went from like, all right, you went from the main card to the bottom of the card. I'm like, yep, sweet, cool. Like, it's a good fight. I'm excited. He's a good boxer. It's a good show. Like, let's do it. And then we just literally got ghosted, and it just kind of fizzled out. Once again, I can't say names or anything like that, but yeah, it kind of just fizzled out. And I put up an announcement because we got a call from the matchmaker of the show and said, look, this is what's happened. We've had no word. There's been no kind of progression. We've pulled your fight off the card. And that was the phone call I had, that they had pulled my fight. And I was like, all right, well, it is what it is, I guess. Another stepping stone. It's cool. Stay positive. Keep on training. We'll get something else. And I put up a post and a statement saying, look, it's out of my control. There's a lot of moving parts. And again, I'm not big on throwing people under the bus. Yeah. I'm not big on getting myself into trouble and lawsuits and stuff like that. I'm not for it. Let bygones be bygones. So I was just like, whatever, I'll keep moving. Put out a statement to my fans, my friends, my supporters. There wasn't supposed to be any negativity to it. And then Danilo came out and put up a post on his Instagram saying, what are these moving parts? You pulled out this, I don't understand. And I was like, hold on, this is what... So then I kind of went further into the explanation and did another post. And he messaged me and said he understands, he appreciates the explanation. He didn't put up another post to say, sorry guys, he wanted to come in with his bullhorns up and be all tough, and then as soon as he was wrong, he wanted to be private about it. So it's cool, it is what it is, but he's got a very hard fight with Zerafa coming up in a couple of weeks, so he's got to focus on that. But yeah, that was the situation we were in, and yeah, like we were just kind of like, all right, well, what's next kind of thing, and I think that's where I would have decided, like, all right, it was after the Wade Ryan fight again, because then that moved forward to that fight. That was a fight I've been chasing for years. I was very excited for that fight. I think it'd be a barn burner. He's beat a lot of guys in Australia. He's got a good record. He was under a good promoter. And again, this was before all the stuff kicked off with what I was going through this year. And so I was like, yep, like this, let's smash this. And then, 4 weeks out from the fight, I hadn't had my vaccines or anything like that yet. And they had moved the show to Sydney. They called us and said, 12 o'clock today, we've got to announce that we're moving the show to Sydney. And at the time, neither of my team could come. So Josh and Craig from Rival, they weren't available to come, so I'd have to go over by myself. And then if I checked the dates, the second date I would have had to get my vaccine would have been the Wednesday of fight week. So I would have been cutting weight to weigh in Friday. I'm like, if I had, any sort of adverse reaction, I'm cutting weight, I'm cooked, I'm going over without a team. And we decided to go, all right, you know what, let's push this, and go, all right, well, this isn't a good decision for us, but what we can do is the next promotion, next show you have, let's run that fight back kind of thing. And nothing back. So the fight never happened. And I was a bit devastated about that. And then, post that, everything kind of swirled up in the sand, and then it turned into this year. So yeah, it's just been like roadblock after roadblock after roadblock. And like I said, I'm very positive about everything. I'm not stressed. Like the trajectory we're going to get there regardless. And that's the whole point of me going, you know what, I'm going over to the States. I'm going to go make connections. I'm going to go talk to people. No one's going to make this happen other than myself. So it was really cool. It was a big eye-opener. And to meet some people that I did and have some conversations that I did, it's a bit of a pat on the back to say, you're doing the right thing.
100%. I do want to touch on the Creati and Zerafa fight quickly.
Yep.
Obviously, Zerafa and done some training with him and some sparring as well. How do you see that fight playing out for Zerafa and Creati? I know you probably have some thoughts towards Zerafa, and so how do you see that sort of fight playing out?
Look, I think Creati's a good fighter. I think he's got good skills, he's got good defence. He moves well. He's experienced, I suppose, in the amateurs. I know it's a different sport, but when you look at this stylistically, for me, I've done the rounds that I was doing with Mick over in Melbourne earlier on in the year. Like I think Mick stops him, probably mid to late rounds. Mick hits hard. I don't think people give him the credit that he's due. And I think until the last year or two since he's come back, people are like, oh, whoa, you know what I mean? But when he lets go of his hands, he's got some kick, he's got skill, he's defensively sound. So I think Mick gets that fight one way or another, you know what I mean? But I think while it's on, it'll be good. I think, Creati's slick. I think he's a little bit unorthodox, he's got a little bit weird movement, you know what I mean? So I'll be watching, you know what I mean? I'll be watching all these shows, all the guys at my weight I'm always got to check on. So, I think Mick gets it done though.
One final thing, because I don't want to keep you too long. It's Saturday, so I don't want to keep you too long. Obviously, a little, a nice, tie into MMA is next weekend is Izzy and Pereira, which is a fantastic fight and one that's happened a few times. You're obviously, somewhat close, I would imagine, with Izzy. I wouldn't say close, but maybe, you guys are friends and, through Instagram and met before. So how do you, for a guy that's obviously been in Muay Thai and kickboxing and has a background and this is more of a kickboxing style fight, I don't see any of this fight going to the ground at all. What's your take, if you have one, on that fight?
Look, I think Pereira is a nightmare for anyone, and he's an incredible striker. He's an incredible athlete. He's got dynamite in everything he throws. He's weird. He's got his hands down at his hips half the fight, but he's so dangerous and he doesn't get hit. You know, there's a lot of crazy, scary things about him. But you know what I mean? I have to trust my gut, and I back Izzy all the way. You know what I mean? I think the fact that Israel has such a insane IQ, I think that he's got so much experience in MMA now as well. Like, I think obviously Pereira's been in the MMA circle for nowhere near as long, I would assume, or what I've seen in the mainstream media anyway.
6-0. So.
Yeah, you know what I mean. But I think he's gone in, and it's, you know, when you see the whole knockout footage and everyone's like, oh, he's going to knock him out. There's always a puncher's chance, you know. But when I look at Israel's last 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fights, he's fought Costa, he's fought Whitaker twice, he's fought Anderson. He's fought all the best. He hasn't even been clipped. You know what I mean? To go through that many fights, and he's gone through the distance. He's gone the distance a lot of those times as well. He hasn't been clipped. His IQ is so good. He gets through the whole fight essentially unscathed. It's not just like, oh, there's a chance, you know what I mean? I feel like he's so sound and he's so much more experienced in the MMA striking. You know, kickboxing, Muay Thai, MMA, they're all very different in their own right. But I think where Israel is right now, I think he wins all day.
Benny, it's a pleasure. Thank you. I know it's a Saturday, so I know you got things to do, and it's a rest day. So I appreciate you very much for giving me a little bit of time, man. I wish you the best of luck. I hope 2023 is the year. I can't wait to see you get to the US and sort of move past this year and make next year a very fruitful and entertaining year for yourself. I appreciate you very much, man.
No, thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks, brother.
Amen.
Appreciate it.